Uh, let's sit down, put on these headphones. This is Dream Warriors, Day 11, 31 Days of Dread. We're doing Shivers. So let's hit that music and get to it. Yeah. Shelf episode here. And I kind of. I really didn't know what episode that this movie was going to be, but I went back and just kind of like rewatched the beginning of it, first like hour, because it took me a little bit to just get the flow of what the story was and what the director was trying to do. The movie Shivers came out in 1975, directed by David Cronenberg, who is another topic of ours. He was the killer, one of the villains, in Nightbreed, and Nightbreed was day 3 of the 31 Days of Dread. So yeah, Cronenberg is French Canadian, and he I might be incorrect with the French part. Definitely Canadian though, and yeah, he's one of these guys that again like crossed over, just like Sidney Pollack, who is one of the friends in Eyes Wide Shut. That's my favorite role of his, mostly because the scene that he has with Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut is a naked woman, and who's not for that? I don't know. And I think he's like shirtless, so which is for Sidney Pollack in that Eyes Wide Shut scene. It is that's all you want to see of him. But yes, it's early in the morning. We're talking another independent movie. I'm drinking my coffee here. I cleared out my storage, one of my final storage unit in Jersey, and just kind of been super busy getting everything sold, listed on eBay, having collector friends and friends that own stores come by to pick up things for their shops. And with all of this, it's been complete chaos in October. And October now is Inktober. You can follow that on AKAPAD 13 or through Instagram. The updates don't always push out through Instagram as quickly, but yeah, aka Pad 13 on IG will deliver you Inktober. I'm doing the 31 Days of Dread. I'm behind on both, but this eBay and storage unit fiasco of mine has just occupied me. So October has literally become my busiest month. I want to say ever, because it's all day, all night, and I'm drawing, I'm recording, I'm listing, I'm shipping, and on top of it, because we know my vices, but been entertaining, going out, having some sippy sips, having some of that alcohol, some of that alcohol consumption. But yeah, so the last few films that we've done for the 31 Days of Dread. Oh, and side note, we're catching up. Don't worry, we're way behind, but I'm catching up. Probably gonna do some double day releases soon. Similar to what we did for Spawn. Spawn Day 8, Spawn Day 8.5, the Harvey Weinstein special edition, and the Blade Runner special edition. So, like, sound like it hasn't been a overly productive month for Dream Warriors, but it's setbacks again, setbacks. And hey, if you guys don't know, Peter, me, your host, has a freaking demanding day job. So how and it's kind of like you might be thinking, how does he do it? I really don't know. There's only one person that can tell you that. Not person, animal, and that's Diamond Dallas Cat, who's sitting down on my sofa watching me right now. Just puzzled at what his compadre is doing. But yeah, so we're talking Shivers. The other two previous movies, day 9, day 10 of the 31 Days of Dread was Beyond the Gates. and 13 Demons, both available on Netflix. And these are independent movies, and we've kind of done a lot of independent movies. I consider Nightbreed independent, Pumpkinhead independent, uh, the Bunnyman Massacre, all independent movies, all 31 Days of Dread, and I think it's becoming a little bit of a focus now. It was really hard setting out to do this because it's easy to go to the low hanging fruit, to do things like The Exorcist, The Lost Boys, Rosemary's Baby, and to the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's just like this thing. It's very easy. It's very easy to go there, and a lot of those I would not have to watch. I could just sit down and spitball because I've seen those movies so many times. And horror is a genre where if you don't appreciate the aesthetics and the process of how some of these horror movies are manufactured, you don't really get a lot of repeat viewing. It's hard to watch horror movies more than once, I believe. So what you get as a contrast is if horror movies not your cup of tea, what comes out of that is a appreciation of how the movies are made, the backstory of the production, even the aesthetics, like the blood, the gore, the atmosphere, the mood. I think these are the things that creates the horror community. This is what the horror community locks in on. I was never part of it. I never really got it. There's like a documentary on Amazon Prime that I was watching about a horror movie, horror convention. It's like a 90-minute documentary. It actually wasn't terrible, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now. But yeah, like horror has this. Excuse me. Horror has this cult. It has a base that has a real love and appreciation for the oddity of it all. And yeah, so Shivers is a movie that hardly any horror fan will talk to you about because few people have seen it. But we're talking about David Cronenberg. He's one of the best. Just came up through independent ranks. This movie was, I think, financed by the Canadian government, and might have been his like fifth or sixth film. He's done so many smaller films before he got big that I haven't seen them all. But Shivers, I'm looking it up right now. Shivers is his third film, and I'm sorry, and technically, you can say Shivers. Yeah, so I was just wrong there. So he did Stereo, he did Crimes of the Future, and then he did Shivers. And I don't know, those might have been way back films, but Shivers is really his landmark. And then he goes from Shivers to Rapid, Fast Company, which I'm not at all familiar with, and The Brood. And Shivers, Rapid, and Brood are kind of a three movie sequence, or almost like this themed trilogy of kind of like invasion, parasite viruses. That's my early morning phone. But yeah, can I remember to put that thing on silent when I sit down and do this? Yeah, so Cronenberg very early on did this like theme trilogy, and they're all fun movies to watch. They're all good. They get better as time progresses, as he learns more skills. But the David Cronenberg we know and we love came to us with a 1981 movie called Scanners, and that was followed up by the Videodrome, which had Scanners has the head explosion scene. It also has Michael Ironside, if I remember, and Videodrome has a recently retired James Wood actor who retired because he could not get work because of his political points of view, and that is something we'll see more of in the coming future. I think him coming out about that is definitely it's going to have a windfall, but everyone's focused on Harvey Weinstein now. And I was just watching too. Side note about the Weinstein thing. I was watching P.S. I Love You With and oh my god, yeah, I people that knock movies like that are just idiots. Because that movie is a emotional roller coaster, and if you don't tear up watching P.S. I Love You, you're not much of a human. You're not even as a guy, you're not much of a man. Because that movie really hits the mark, and it's the fantasy of it all, but it's true. Like there's so much of that movie that's real, and so a little tangent there, but yeah. So let's just get back to Videodrome real quick. For Cronenberg, I was always more Videodrome than Scanners. I think Videodrome is the end of his independent phase, and then he goes into like mainstream with The Dead Zone in '83. 3 years later, The Fly '86. The Fly, now one of the greatest remakes ever, or updates. Dead Ringers '88, amazing. That's one of the best dual role movies with Jeremy Irons. Naked Lunch '91, great movie, kind of forgotten but great. And Butterfly, Madam Butterfly. That's the one I haven't seen. My favorite of his, 1996 Crash, the real Crash. That's the one you guys see. And now we're dealing with two under the covers, under the radar movies, Existence and Spiders. Existence and Spider. They're almost complementary pieces, also similar to his earlier work with Shivers, Rabbit, and The Brood. And now we have another complementary sequence, which is A History of Violence and Eastern Promises. Again, with Viggo Mortensen, you gotta watch these movies. They're heralded as overly violent, but they are more or less like man of action movies, and I really enjoy man of action movies. And then we have The Dangerous Method, which was really interesting, and like that. There was so much of that movie that reminded me of. I think Viggo Mortensen's in that also, and it has what's her name, the girl from Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's a early like psychology, sexual health driven movie, and there was a lot of that reminded me of Sucker Punch, uh, just with the archaic way that this profession, this study came up through the ground, and how late in society and progress that these practices were still exercised. Exercised, now ostracized. Uh, yeah, so A Dangerous Method, you just have to watch that movie. And I don't know if she was nominated for that role, but I think she should have won. She's so good in it. And Cosmopolis, which is the vampire dude from Twilight, he's in that. I think the entire movie takes place in the limo. I never finished watching that, and I feel bad because very engaging movie, and Maps to the Stars, 2014. Have not seen that, so that's the filmography of David Cronenberg. It's really hard to find a bad movie in that bunch. He has a run, I think, unlike anyone in Hollywood. Even the people that came up the same way as Cronenberg. Yeah, never had the staying power, never resonated as much as him. Um, just an amazing dude. He's one of my guys, easily one of my guys, and I love it. I love that he doesn't need the adulation and all this other stuff. Like the dude just keeps going. He's got stories to tell. Um, but I think he has one thing for Crash. I think he might won the Palme d'Or for Crash. I should know some of these things before I start talking to you. But no, like that's not the point. The point is not to know everything. The point is to sit down and discuss some of these movies, just to bring light to them, historical documentation of what they are. So Shivers, basic story. It's available now on Amazon Prime. I recommend go checking it out. But Shivers it's a parasite movie. The parasite infects you, and you you want to transfer. You just want to basically rape someone. It's a parasite rape movie, and it also what it kind of pioneered, made popular through its advertising, movie posters, and printed material, printed collateral, as I say on my end, is the bathtub, right up the vagina scene. And if you don't know what that means, I mean, even movies, I think What Lies Beneath, the Robert Zemeckis, Michelle Pfeiffer movie, even promoted bathtub scene. There's a movie called Teeth, which we should really do Teeth for 31 Days of Dread. And I think that's on Netflix. Have I told you how much I love these streaming services? I love it when people tell me there's no good movies on either, and I think they're crazy. I think they're on the good type of drugs. But yeah, so the bathtub scene came from this movie, and it is one of the. I think even James Gunn copied it for Slither. I think Night of the Creeps copies it. Any movie that has a parasite in it, that like a slug parasite that crawls into the mouth or into an orifice, has the bathtub scene. It's essential. So we have David Cronenberg to thank for this. So the movie is a scientist. He creates this. I guess they were intending to create a way for a parasite to enter the body and recreate organs. So if your liver died, the parasite would come in and reproduce the function of the organ by processing blood and so on and so forth, something like your liver. And then, like, essentially, I guess the scientist goes a little bonkers, and he wants to infect the entire world. So the entire movie is shot around this apartment building, which is, for the day, set up to be a luxury apartment building. You know, security, awesome amenities. I think the opening for this movie, the exposition, the setup is awesome, masterful, cheap, and it's might be one of my favorite opening narrations now, because it sets up something different, sets up the environment for the movie, not the story. And I just thought that was very interesting, very very cool. I don't know, I don't know how much of that was maybe inspired by The Shining. I think some of this, and just to be clear, we should know when the Shining came out, right? We're gonna have to look that up real quick. So that came out in 1980. So I am way off. So so maybe some of this complimented, because just the way it's shot, just the mood of it, kind of did remind me of Kubrick's Shining. So. And what we see in a lot of this movie is corners, and we have left to right staging. And why do I talk about this? Why is this important? This is important because that's all they had to work with. It's a single room. It's one room, and you may only be able to do one or two cameras, but you don't have sets. And it was very clear that a lot of this movie was shot with zero sets. So they use corners, and you use corners in a very interesting, flowy way. So from an independent standpoint, and that's why this goes with the last two 31 Days of Dread. On an independent standpoint, this movie is kind of looked at as one of the great straight up independent horror movies. And even though it's a little bit forgotten, it's drifted off into the realms of forgetfulness. It's no better or worse than Beyond the Gates and 31 Demons. It's not. I'll even put the Bunny May massacres in this movie in the categories. The acting's off. Blocking is off. Cinematography is off. The lighting is off. Script is off. Script definitely could have used better moments. Even though I think some of the character stuff is there, but it's not their character per character. It's not their scene per scene. There's setups and payoffs that just don't seem like they're setups and payoffs. It doesn't pull the strings as well as it should. I'm using some platitudes here, but you get the point. It's not a perfect movie, but it should be heralded as a perfect movie because of the attempt. Same as Beyond the Gates and 31 Demons. If Cronenberg didn't have the drive and the luck and just the fortitude that he has, Shivers just would pass on. It would be totally forgotten and uh, like totally forgotten. Like there's no redeemable quality whatsoever because this movie has none of it. It just has an interesting concept, has some interesting visuals. Any visual with the parasite or the slug, the bloody slug, is just god awful. It's a god awful visual. So passing this parasite throughout the building through sex is this 19-year-old girl that you find out has been like banging the entire building, including like an older man, a like someone this business dude who does claims adjustment that lives with his girlfriend, like who has like a key to her place. It's a little bit creepy. It's a little bit weird, but the girl's like 19. She's like a schoolgirl. And the movie opens with her death, which is a very surreal, like kind of like horrific. I viewed it as horrific. Strangulation scene, and I think it's because of what they had to work with. It's actually one of the better strangulation scenes because the camera doesn't move away. The camera is there. Okay, so we have a broader point about the women discovering sex and what sex means to a woman. We have a statement on that with her actions, which is, kind of like spring. Spring has sprung. And this woman just wants to be, like pleased, and she wants to please, and she gets validation for that. I don't, never like fault that type of attitude with a woman. I think, societal conditions create these complexes now. Societal programming, that women just can't enjoy the D. And they do, they love it. And for some reason, society tells women they can't love it, even though we're in a golden age of birth control. Like everyone has birth control right now. Everyone has access to it. It's pretty amazing. But society will still label a woman the slut when she acts like as they do, as this woman does, this 19-year-old in Shivers. But with that being said, so like the movie is just at that point, like once we establish what the issue is, what the threat is, now it's just a series of deaths and rapes and the virus, the parasite, transferring person to person to person. Movie ends, and it's kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod to this is the beginning of it all. This is the beginning of the fall of man, and kind of very similar to the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I loved because it's still the idea of, hey, we did this in 1975, and it kind of falls right into what I said earlier with other episodes about the horror genre is a combination of conventions. It's a combination of tropes. It's nothing. It's things we've always seen before. The combination and the cobbling together of these things is what separates like great horror from barely watchable horror. But like in no way should it ever interrupt your enjoyment of a movie. Most movies in general. Like I said, I remember the first time I saw Gladiator. I was with my family. I was maybe going through like a film buff phase, like being a dickhead about anything he watched. Probably was. And, I was so disappointed with Gladiator because to me it was just Braveheart all over again. And to me, Braveheart just did it so much better, like with balls and grit and truth. And it kind of had like a better story also, like just on paper, like bullet point story type stuff. But yeah, and like I don't know, being a dick, I probably should have enjoyed Gladiator a lot more, as I do now, as I'm just able to sit down and I know the conventions, I know the tropes that they're using, I know the low hanging fruit that they're going for storytelling wise. But my God, if you don't sit down and enjoy Gladiator and just be like in awe by most of it, and ignore the stupid criticisms of people, shaky cam and all that BS. I don't know. There was so much that movie offers. I wasn't receptive to it when I first saw it, and yeah, I kind of regret it. But yeah, is every movie like that? Does every movie resonate? No, it's movie to movie. It's case by case. But Shivers it's important because it creates some of these tropes that future movies actually just mimicked and copied and lived off of. Like I said, James Gunn got his start with these conventions set up in Shivers. In the way, Shivers has been remade at least 5 or 6 times. At least 5 or 6 times this movie's been remade, perfected, better special effects added to it to convey the slugs a little bit, as more of a force of nature, deadlier, because they're definitely not deadly in this. We're just told they're deadly, and we believe it. What is that, James? I should know it. Oh my God, James Gunn movies. We have to look it up, and I hate that you even hear me typing Slither. Slither is the movie. Okay. Yeah. This is Sliver. This is Sliver. Sliver came out in 2006. This movie was 1975. So you do that arithmetic, kiddo. I don't know really what else to say other than, again, it's another independent horror movie that kickstarted a amazing career. But as a independent horror movie, it's really no different than some of these ones people rip apart, bash, and or ignore because it doesn't get this crazy box office. If it's not Get Out, people just don't care about independent horror movies anymore. No, this is right on par with the last two, Beyond the Gates, 13 Demons. This is right on par with it. So Cronenberg, look at his like future from this movie. Like, look at what he's done, and you're telling me these other two dudes, these other two guys can't do it, can't run with the wolves, run with the buffalo. Yeah, I don't know. You're crazy if that's what you believe, because skill versus skill, movie versus movie. This is no different. No different. Okay. So hey, have a good day, and let's just keep going. We're gonna hit day 31, Days of Dread on day 31. We're gonna hit Halloween on Halloween. Okay. Oh, maybe we should do that. Halloween on Halloween. Oh, I like that. But it's gotta be the Rob Zombie Halloween. It's gotta be.